Mr. Smith, would you please introduce yourself and give us your DOC number?
My name is Nathaniel Smith, and my DOC number is 476447.
Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Smith, let me explain our process to you. First, I'm going to read some information into the record. Then we're going to conduct a parole interview with you. At the appropriate time, we will allow those persons who wish to have input to speak. Currently, on Zoom, on your behalf, are a number of people. Nathaniel Moses Smith, your nephew, would like to speak. Evelyn Willis, your sister, would like to speak. Regina Trotter, who is also one of your sisters, would like to speak. Zeta Williams is here for support. Maisha Smith, your cousin, is here for support. Cody West is here for support. And Eunice Aber, your aunt, is here for support. After we have the hearing, you'll have an opportunity to say whatever it is you'd like to say to the board before we vote. Do you understand our process, sir?
Yes, sir.
This is a matter of Nathaniel M. Smith, DOC number 476447, date of birth March the 25th of 1979. He's a fourth-class felony offender. He has a parole eligibility date of March the 25th of 2024, an adjusted good time date of May the 31st of 2031, and a full-term date of April the 14th of 2036. He is currently serving a 35-year, 6-month sentence on the charges of manslaughter, having been sentenced on February the 13th of 2004, and contraband, having been sentenced on November the 22nd of 2022. Mr. Smith, is that information all accurate?
Yes, sir, it is.
Mr. Smith, your case has been assigned to me, so I will be beginning our interview process. Mr. Smith, how old are you, sir?
I'm 44 years old.
And how long have you been in prison on these charges?
I've been in prison 22 years, and February will make 23.
Bless you. Tell me a little bit about, so you were, what, 22 when this happened, about?
21.
21? Let's talk a little bit about who Nathaniel Smith was at 21 years old. Tell me what was going on in your life at that time. How much education did you have at 21 years old?
Well, at 21 years old, I dropped out of school around the 11th grade. When I was going to the 12th, I didn't complete. And
why did you drop out?
I was doing the wrong things, getting high on drugs and running with the wrong crowd.
Okay. Were you working at all?
No, sir, not at the moment. I wasn't working.
What kind of drugs were you using?
Well, I smoked marijuana and PCP.
And when did you start smoking marijuana?
About the age of 12.
How often were you smoking marijuana at 12?
Probably on weekends when I would go away, to friends.
Did you progress to more regularly use of marijuana?
As I got older, yes, sir.
And when did you start using marijuana more often? How often were you using it?
Well, I started smoking marijuana on an everyday basis around when I reached the age of about 14, when I got into high school.
So the whole time you were in high school, you were pretty much smoking marijuana every day?
Yeah, when I wasn't at school, yes.
Was that affecting your grades? Is that part of the reason why you talked about hanging with the wrong crowd and doing crazy things? Is that part of the reason why you dropped out of school?
It's definitely a part of the reason why. Yes, sir.
When did you start using PCP?
I'm gonna say when I was about 18 years old.
And how often were you using PCP?
When I started, maybe like on weekends when I would go to the club, but then it progressed over the years into a daily routine.
Were you how were you living? How were you existing at 21 years old? How were you getting money to eat?
I was selling drugs. I was dealing drugs on the street.
So tell me a little bit about what happened on December the 6th of 2000, for what you find yourself in prison for now. Tell me what happened.
Okay, well, the night that my crime occurred, I was with a friend and he got a phone call. He had been
Let
robbed.
me back you up a little bit. Where were you and your friend at?
We were in Houston. We were in Houston, Texas.
Okay, go ahead.
We were in our neighborhood and he got a call from a friend that was already in Louisiana, that was from our neighborhood, who had arrested him that he had met with the guy who robbed him on a previous date. And he said he was at some girl's house and he offered to meet up with the guy to see if he could get some of the money back that he had been robbed for. And we rode down to meet with the friend who had met with the guy who robbed for the drugs.
Were y'all using marijuana? Were y'all using any drugs at that time?
Yes, sir. I recall we were.
So what happened when you got back to Louisiana?
Well, when we got to Louisiana, we went to some girl's house to meet with them. And once we got over there, we didn't stay long because one of my co-defendants, he was supposed to get the guy to meet us at a gas station, so to discuss whether he was gonna come up with the money that my friend had been robbed for, but it didn't turn out that way. He never answered the phone, and we wind up riding to the guy's house. And my co-defendant knocked on the door, and when he knocked on the door, him and the guy got in a tussle, and before I knew it, two other guys drove up on the scene. And at that time, me and three other of my partners, we got into a physical altercation with them, and we brought them all inside of the house, and it turned into a robbery scene.
Okay. And then what happened from the robbery? How did someone get killed? What happened?
Well, while we were inside the house, two of my co-defendants and me, we tied the people up while one of my other co-defendants was asking, about his money that he had been robbed for. And we began to search the house, and him and the guy was going back and forth, and it all happened so fast. While I was searching the house in the kitchen area, I heard gunshots. It happened just that fast. So you realized you were involved in a robbery. You understood that. That was part and parcel of what you were doing. I did realize that, sir.
And then you heard gunshots, and I think everybody tended to agree that Charles Winfrey was the guy who actually did the shooting. Is that right?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
That's your understanding?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Winfrey and Mr. Turner both pled guilty. Did you plead guilty, or did you go to trial?
I pled guilty as well, sir.
Let's talk a little bit about your prior history. What other crimes, what other charges have you had in the past? You are fourth felony offender. Tell me about some of the other charges that you've had.
Well, the last charge that I just picked up last year in 22 was a contraband.
We'll talk about the contraband. I'm talking about before you came to prison.
Before I came to prison, I have unauthorized use of a motor vehicle.
Okay.
Which is when you in Texas, when you rent a car from a drug deal, if you get arrested in the car, then that's considered a unauthorized use of a motor vehicle. So if I rent someone's car for drugs, that's what that is. And another time I have an organized crime, which is when you stealing cars with several people, and y'all steal cars for fixed parts on cars and dealing of that sort.
Now, I noticed on your record as well, you pled guilty to an amended charge of negligent homicide. What was that about?
When I was in the parish for this charge, I was in the cell with a guy and we were tier reps, and him and the guy got into an altercation in the cell upstairs, and him and the guy had a fight. When they was fighting in the cell, he hit the guy's head against the wall. I was there to break it up. I was already incarcerated for this charge, and by me just being there, being in the cell when it took place to breaking up the fight, I was charged with negligent. I was charged with second-degree murder, but the charges got amended to negligent homicide.
So you pled guilty to a negligent homicide while you were in prison?
While I was in the parish, yes, sir.
Yeah. Why did you plead guilty to the charge if you were trying to break up the fight?
Because I was already incarcerated for this right here, and the way that the DA worked the deal out, it was for me to get rid of the second-degree murder along with all the trouble I was already in. It was a good deal for me to not have to face a life sentence, and that was the decision I made because I did what was best to try to not get a life sentence.
Now, you pled to this charge all at the same time. So you got, while you were awaiting trial for your second-degree murder charge or your manslaughter charge, that's when this other manslaughter charge, second-degree murder, came up. While you were in prison waiting trial on your charge, you got charged with second-degree murder in prison.
Yes, sir.
And as a result of the plea, you pled to both separate charges, one involving the one in prison and one involving the one you just described. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about what you've accomplished or what you've done while you've been in prison. You've lost 561 days of good time. Why is that?
Yes, sir. When I first came to prison, sir, I was still young. I didn't have no sense of direction. I really was just I was disobedient. I didn't like to listen to what the people said. So sometimes I would not follow the rules, and I didn't understand about being in prison, that it was for to rehabilitate you and make you a better person. I just thought that my life was over. I had 35 years and I really didn't care about following the rules. At some days I just didn't care, and it didn't matter because I never thought I was going to get out of prison at that point.
Well, you've had several write-ups not long ago. Talk to me about those.
Yes, sir. The last write-up that I had was, I believe, in 22, and it was for a cell phone. And at the prison, whenever I was at that I just left from, they didn't have visitation at that time, and my father was had just passed. I had a lot of things going on with my family, and I had access to using the guy's phone, and eventually it led me from using it to wanting to buy it, and I got it, and I got caught with it. I pled guilty, and I got a charge for it, and I just tried to move on before I shouldn't have had it. I should have never.
You didn't just get caught with a cell phone. You tried to swallow the SIM card. Why?
Well, I didn't want to get anybody else in trouble for something that I had, because I had bought the phone from another guy, and I know that his information was on it as well as mine, and I just tried to diffuse it by just swallowing it and getting rid of it.
Well, I'm looking at your disciplinary history. In 2021, you had two separate write-ups for aggravated disobedience. In 2021, you had a 30C, a general prohibited behavior. And then in 2022, you had two write-ups for contraband, one on the 26th and one on the 28th. One of them was a cell phone. What was the other thing?
SIM card. It was the SIM card. They wrote me up for the SIM card and the phone.
What programs that you have taken while you've been in prison have been for you?
But I've taken several programs that's made me a better person. I took anger management, recovery dynamics. I took NAAA for years, and I took stress management, all the substance abuse programs that they had to offer here at Allen Correctional Center and at Raymond LaBorde. And I also have vocational trades, automotive trade, and I completed my high set. I finished my education, and I've been a part of sports club SCA since I've been back at this facility, and I was a part of it before. And what they do is they teach you how to help the community around you through sports, and it gets some of the guys at the prison to use their idle time and channel their energy into sports and being more of a brotherhood, and help people try to stay out of trouble. And that's what I've been giving a lot of my time to the community here and giving back and trying to be a role model.
What is your plan? What's your transition plan if you were to be released? Where are you going to be living?
I'll be living with my cousin, which we grew up in the same house. He's like my brother. His name is David. He couldn't be here today. He drives trucks, and he has his own business. He gets cars from the auction and fixes them. I'll be working on his cars and helping him sell them. And my sister also has a business where I'll be making things for her. She sells things. I make leather. I do purses, bags, belts, and I make benches out of wood. I learned that skill too at Cotton Port. And I don't have a trade in welding, but I also have skills in welding. So I'll be trying to incorporate all that together with my cousin.
Where will you be working and living at?
I'll be working probably for my uncle because I worked for him before.
What city, town? Where at?
Houston, Texas.
So you want to go back to Houston, Texas? That's what I.
That's right. That's what my family is.
Work to try to get there. Have you filled out any kind of paperwork to see if you'll be accepted to go there?
Well, my uncle has a tree service. I worked for him before, and I'll be working for him. And he has an automotive shop where he works, and I'll be working with him to stay busy as well. He's here to speak on my behalf today.
Tell me what your plan is to stay sober.
Well, my plan to stay sober is I want to continue taking NAAA, and I want to continue just staying away from the wrong crowd and the wrong areas, because if you're in the wrong environment, old things that you used to get into tend to come back up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to channel my energy into helping the youth and society so that young kids don't grow up and follow the footsteps and the mistakes that I made. And I want to try to help them, because I had great people in my life that tried to lead me in the right direction. I just didn't take heed of it. It took something so dramatic like this to get me in a situation for me to mature and realize that I was on the wrong path. But now I just completed another class here at this facility, which is a great class that I want to be a part of. It's called Boys to Men, because it resonates with me so well, because if I had been a leader and a man at that point, I could have stopped all of this from happening. I could have told my friend, Mr. Winfrey, man, we shouldn't go and meet with somebody that robs you. In the past, we should just leave it alone. But I didn't speak up, and I just being a follower and went along, being cool, I thought at the time. So now I realize that being a leader, you should, lead in the right direction and, have good.
Have you ever had any long-term substance abuse treatment? I mean, I know you've had some education classes, done some AA meetings. Have you ever had any long-term substance abuse treatment?
No, sir.
You think that's something that you need or could use?
It's definitely something I could use that I do need it. Because I'm in prison in a controlled environment, but I know in the free world it's a lot different and you have more temptation.
You've got some good awareness. That's a good thing. I think that your institutional record, I note that it was noted that your institutional record is poor, but getting better. Do you know what that's about? What would you say to that?
Well, I would say that in prison, sometimes some situations you can't control and you happen to get caught up. But for the most part, I know my disciplinary history became better because in the last 5, 6 years, I only have a few write-ups and I just made poor choices. But I always continue to educate myself and stay in a positive manner. And I've been a trustee at this facility and the other facility, and at the other facility, I worked in the free world, and I had a chance to do some things at the community college and meet some people, and I had a feel for society, and I just know that if I get a chance, I'll be able to be a good advocate for the youth and society. That's what I want to do. I want to help kids. I want to give back to the kids and try to help them.
Warden, what can you tell us about Mr. Smith?
But sir, Smith is doing pretty good. He really is. He got a pretty good head on his shoulder. I've been around Smith for quite a few years, being here at Allen Correction Center and being at Raymond Board as well. Currently now here, he's actually working our maintenance shop. He's doing a lot of work on the mechanic, working on the vehicles here, and he's doing a real good job with that. My biggest concern with Smith is I really believe he can use as much long-term substance abuse as possible. He's been incarcerated for a good period of time now, for 23 years. I mean, he admitted his own self, trying to be prepared for society. He really gonna need the tools to be successful.
Thank you, Warden. Appreciate your comments. Any questions? Now let's hear from your supporters. Let's hear from Nathaniel Moses Smith, your nephew. Mr. Smith, Nathaniel Moses Smith, you there?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Smith, can you hear us? Mr. Nathaniel Moses Smith? Well, let's try Miss Evelyn Willis. Miss Willis, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, Miss Willis, why don't you go ahead and tell us what you'd like us to know about your brother?
Good afternoon. I would first like to give honor to God and thank you all for allowing this opportunity for my brother. I want to start off by giving my condolences, thoughts, and prayers to the victim's family. I am Nathaniel's baby sister. I was only 8 years old when my brother very first got incarcerated. Growing up without my brother was definitely not easy for me and my mother. When my brother very first got incarcerated, I noticed how his attitude has changed tremendously over the years up until now. I do feel that being in prison has made my brother a wiser man. He has been able to participate in many vocational programs and learn many life skills that I feel will help him upon his release. These programs have had a profound impact on his perspectives on life, his mindset, and his attitude. My brother does have strong feelings of remorse and accepts responsibility that led him to be incarcerated for this crime that took place. His commitment to personal transformation has been evident to our family over the years, and we hope that you all can see the positive changes that he has made through his records of achievement throughout his incarceration. Upon release, my brother is more than welcome to come live with me in my home. As well, he will have a very good support system when he comes home. We have a lot of family and friends that are willing to support him mentally, spiritually, and financially. I am also willing to employ my brother. I do own 3 different businesses, with one of them being an event planning business. My brother is able to make certain things that I feel I will need in order to make my business a lot better, and I am willing to employ him with that. As well, my uncle is also a licensed mechanic who was trying to speak not too long ago, Mr. Nathaniel Smith. He has a mobile mechanic business that he can also employ Nathan as and help him in gaining clients. I do feel that my brother has served a significant amount of his time, and I feel that I hope that you guys will have grace and mercy upon him today and grant him a second chance at life. When my brother very first left, I was a child, and now I have 3 children and am married. And I would greatly appreciate it if he would be able to be home to assist me with my children, especially my son, who he speaks to very often.
Thank you, Ms. Willis. Ms. Willis, do you live in Texas? Is that where you are?
I do. I live in Houston, Texas.
And is that where he would be if he were released? That's what your plan is, would be to have him come be with you?
Yes, sir, that is correct. And I live on the east side of Houston, which is not the same area where my brother was living at when he got incarcerated with that crowd of people. That was on the south side of Houston. So I don't live near that side of town as well. I feel that that would be a good help for him.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now we'll hear from another sister, Miss Regina Trotter. Ms. Trotter?
Yes, sir. How are you?
We're fine, ma'am. I can't see you, but there you go. I can hear you now. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us what you'd like us to know about your brother?
My name is Regina Trotter. My maiden name is Smith. I live in Houston, Texas. And Nathaniel is my adopted brother. And we've been in the household together ever since he was like 2 years old. We were raised together. And Nathaniel has always been a good child. He just got with the wrong crowd. And he got with the wrong people, the negative people. And I think Nathaniel now has demonstrated a positive outlook on life and being an asset to the community. He's changed a lot over the years that he's been there, because he's educated himself with a lot of trades and education that he needed, which he didn't get before he started getting with the crowd that he was with. And I think that he wants to surround himself now with positive people that's going to encourage him to do well and to do positive things, not the negative stuff. But he's doing better as time progressed. And over the years that he's been incarcerated, I believe that he's a better person now, because he was young when it happened and now he's grown older now. So he has a positive outlook on life. And as a family member, I'm willing to encourage him and to help him to do better in any way that I can. And I always help him. And I would come visit him before COVID, but the distance and COVID has caused us to not see each other as much anymore. But I want to say that he's a good person. He just got caught up in a bad situation. And I'm willing to help him in any way that I can. And I thank you all for allowing me to speak today on my brother's family.
Appreciate your comments. Do we have Mr. Nathaniel Moses Smith back on?
Get in touch.
Good night. Okay. All right. Mr. Smith, is there anything that you'd like to say before the board votes?
Yes, sir. I just want to say thank y'all for giving me the opportunity, whatever the outcome may be. And if I were to make parole, I'm going to go into society and I won't let y'all down. I'm going to give back to the community on the outside, what I've been doing on the inside, and that's helping younger brothers and trying to help them rehabilitate themselves. And, I want to do that for some people in the free world, some young brothers that can stop, the violence and come to prison, because I know I could be a good, positive role model and somebody productive in society if I get a chance.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smith. Is the panel ready to vote? Mr. Smith, you have done well. You did a very good interview today. I think that you did well for yourself today. I think we all agree that you are moving in the right direction. I think that you have some great support when you ultimately get out. You've got some disciplinary issues. You still have some disciplinary issues. You've had a number of write-ups in the last several years that concern me. I understand what you say about the SIM card and swallowing it and that sort of thing, but that bothers me. That's violating the rules.
Yes, sir.
I think the warden and I are on the same page when we talk about your need for substance abuse. It's important that you get some long-term substance abuse treatment. I think that you are moving in the right direction. I just think today is not the day for me. I'd like to see you get into some long-term substance abuse program. I would like to recommend maybe we could send you to Steve Hoyle or something like that. And if you could get that program, stay disciplined there, write up free for a substantial amount of time and reapply. If I'm still around here, I would likely vote. But today my vote is to deny, but to encourage you to continue to move forward the way you've been working. I'm one of 3 votes. Ms. Wise?
Mr. Smith, I could, you have done well today. I'm like, when I listen to you talk, I'm like, what is he doing in jail? He just shouldn't be there. You're a bright young man, but like you said, you were a follower. You just didn't. I concur with my colleague. Don't hear no, just hear not yet. Just not yet, not today. My vote is to deny as well. And the things you want to do for the young people, you have to be it. You have to be it consistently. That means when somebody offers you a cell phone, because you are trying to be an example, no thank you. I'll just wait and go through the proper channels and make my calls. I can sacrifice, I can do without. That's what the young people need to see. And you have to be it before you can show somebody else how to be it, how to be where you're trying to get them to go. And I encourage, I'm a document that I encourage you to reapply when you're eligible for a rehearing. Stay right up for you. Best wishes to you, sir. And I appreciate your family for showing up today and hope they stay on your corner.
Thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am. Thank you.
I listen to what both of my fellow board members have to say, and I do agree with them. And if you did come back up, I would also most likely vote for you. So what I do is I encourage you to try to get into the Steve Hall program. I put it on my paper for you to go there, and once you finish that, you'll be getting close to time to reapply. And we'll see what happens next time. And thanks your family for coming. Oh, also, if you when it gets time to reapply, give it to Warden and do your interstate compact, so we'll know if you accept it to Texas.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Smith, although you've been denied, and as Ms. Watson, I want you to hear, just not today. You're well on your way. You did a great interview. You've got good support. So work a little harder, and hopefully the next time will be the time. So good luck to you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.